Hey, friends, welcome back to the Called to Lead podcast. So, I'm super excited for today's episode and a new series we will be introducing, which is answering your real questions. And so, I invited our field, our advocates and partners, to submit real live questions on Telegram straight to me so that I can play them live on the podcast and you can get to hear the heart behind the questions and I can answer them because you might be wondering or thinking the same thing. So while I've done a Q&A in the past and have shared maybe some of the general questions that we've had, I thought this would be a really fun opportunity to give you, if you are a partner or advocate or a part of this, an opportunity to literally ask me anything. But also, if you are just following along the journey, I think these questions will be super helpful in determining everything from the vision of the products to the company in general, why we decided to create the comp plan the way that we did, and no questions are off limits. Transparency is one of our core values, and hopefully this will be a really fun way where you can get to know the heart of Restore. So let's dive into the first of the three questions that we will be answering on today's podcast. Yay! Okay, so this podcast is going to be pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to play the real life questions from some of our bold field members, whether they are a partner or an advocate, and I'll let them introduce themselves and ask the question that you might be wondering yourself. And today's episode is going to be awesome because it's going to be kind of foundational focused questions, but also forward thinking questions, which I am very vision minded. If you've listened to my podcast, you know that. And so I love these questions and they were so thoughtful and I can't wait to answer them today. So we'll start with the first question, which is Amy's.
Hi, I'm Amy. I am a partner from Birmingham, Alabama, and I was just wondering, when did you first feel called to start this company?
Thank you so much for this thoughtful question, Amy. And I know it's one that I've been asked many times because a lot of people think, okay, here you've launched this makeup company, this direct sales company. Is that something that you've been planning for a long time, or is that something that you've always wanted to do? And the short answer is no. It was definitely a clear calling and a clear vision that the exact date actually was on July 4th of 2024. So a little over a year ago. And what's wild about that is it actually does build on a desire that the Lord put on my heart back when I was a little girl. I have loved beauty my entire life and loved makeup and all of the things. And so when I went to college at the University of Georgia, I kind of focused on beauty. And my dream at that point was to move to New York and work on the corporate end in public relations, specifically with a company like my dream company, NARS Cosmetics. And so I actually interned there and realized that number one, New York, I love New York. I'm actually going first thing in the morning to help pick out new goodies, which is exciting. So I love New York. I'm so glad that both of our makeup formulators are in New York and now I get to do that. But I could not live in New York. I'm a Southern girl at heart. And so I actually decided right after the internship to open a boutique in Savannah that was supposed to be a makeup store. And because there was already a makeup store in Savannah at the time, I pivoted into the apparel world. And so it's just kind of crazy that flash forward, that was '03. So gosh, 21 years later, when basically the job that I loved. And if you've been a long time listener of this podcast, you can even go back and listen to my entire, well, not the entire journey, but 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years of my leadership journey in the company I was a part of previously. And I was literally all in. In fact, I felt, gosh, I think it was in December of 2003, after losing one of my best friends to cancer. I kind of went into this season of a lack of clarity, which was really hard for me because I am so vision minded. And I just remember praying for the Lord to give me really, really clear direction and clear guidance on what those next steps would be. And in that season, so December of 2023, gosh, about 7 months before he gave us the vision for Restore, he very much gave me the clarity to go all in with what I was doing at the time and share that journey out loud. And so you can go back and listen to all of those episodes if you want to, kind of hear my heart in that season. And it was a season. For me, I always try to look to the direction and guidance from the Lord. And as it says in James, who are we to say that tomorrow or next month or next year we're going to be doing XYZ, right? Like we need to trust in the Lord today and in that season. and he will show us the way if we quiet our mind and we kind of get out of our own way. So flash forward to, let's see, 2003, I felt very called to stay until June of 2024, which is when the company I was a part of just decided to make a divergent direction away from leadership and more focused on just more affiliate minded sharing, which is just not my heart. I mean, hello, my podcast is called Called to Lead. And so, as much as I loved that company and that product and knew with every fiber of my being that I was called towards it in that season, I knew that I couldn't stay. And so then the question becomes, okay, then what, Lord? What do you have for me? And while there were some amazing opportunities, I just didn't have that peace or that clarity or that vision that it any of them were what the Lord wanted to do. And it was actually my husband. This is actually a funny story that I'm not sure I've shared on the podcast. Literally day one, when I got that heartbreaking news, I will never forget. I went downstairs and, of course, cried my eyes out to Roger. And he said, in that moment, he said, you should just start your own makeup company. And I was like, you don't even get it. And y'all, I literally got mad at him. I was mad because I was like, you don't understand. This is like, I've poured everything into this. And, how could you say that? And, it was funny because I couldn't see that even though he could see what was possible in that moment. And I still can't believe that it took me, gosh, probably about a month, because when we did decide to start the company on that July 4th, it was really more of a commission to include the renewal complex in some products that really the direct sales space it's a perfect avenue for it because of the anecdotal, highly shareable difference that it can make in someone's skin on a topical level. Direct sales is such a great avenue for the skincare product. And so the opportunity was presented for me to really take that product and get it to market. And I knew, because I'm such a believer in the direct sales space, that it could be possible that could be the right avenue. But even then, I was very careful to say, yes, I'll do it, especially because I didn't want it to be my decision or an opportunity that was a fix for the solution I was in. I wanted it to truly be the Lord's will. But in a pretty short period of time, he gave me that clarity and that confidence from multiple paths that literally by the time the fireworks were going off on that July 4th, I had a download from him that I put into a note app on my phone. And it is so crazy because so much of it is what has come to fruition a little over a year later. And then I woke up, this is kind of cool. I woke up the next morning on July 5th, which was actually my great-grandfather's birthday. Not my great-grandfather, my grandfather that passed his birthday. He passed away. But anyways, that day, I always have a habit of reaching for my phone to the Bible app. And I was so excited to see what that verse was going to be for that day. And it was 2 Timothy 1:7. For the Spirit of the Lord is not one of fear, but of power and love and self-control. And you guys, guess what my verse of the day was today in my Write the Word journal? 2 Timothy 1:7. And it's those type of confirmations that just give me clarity that this is what the Lord has called us to. And because I prayed for clarity and I had been through tough seasons where I didn't have that, I knew how to know when it was the Lord guiding me, at least in that moment and that next step to make it happen. So going back to July, it was kind of crazy because it started as skincare. It wasn't until August that we went to a trade show in Vegas, and the idea and inspiration to integrate makeup was brought up. And at first I was resistant because I didn't want people to feel like I was doing that as the answer or trying to one up the company that I loved and the product that I loved. But I knew there was an opportunity, and I knew that specifically in the direct sales space, simplifying a woman's routines and making her life easier and hopefully her business as well was really something that I knew my experience could lend it to. And my passion for makeup and my passion for beauty, even as a little girl, it started to all make sense. And it was very emotional and very exciting for me. And so, Amy, to answer your question, long story short, the official answer is July 4th. I have it all documented in my little notes app, but it came from seasons and seeds planted long ago, desires that didn't make sense on my heart from back in the day that make perfect sense now, right? So hope that answers your question of the calling of why we decided to start with. Hey, great question. Next up, we have Julie.
Hi, Heather. It's Julie. I'm a current advocate and so looking forward to becoming a partner. I had a question about the glow capsule and your vision for it as we go forward. And I love that it's curated and has beautiful shades that complement everyone, but they're not so overwhelming because there's a limited number. And I wondered if you're going to keep it that way. And as we go forward, will there be things in the way of new products? It sounds like yes, but also fun things at the holidays or limited releases that are something that our current customers, we will have something to bring them in to continue to order and to love and to have for their makeup routine, while at the same time not overwhelming somebody that's new, and keeping that true glow capsule theory very minimal so that we can share it effectively and not have that overwhelm all across the board as customers, advocates, or partners.
Thank you so much, Julie, for this super smart question. I have a feeling you're going to crush it here as an advocate or partner or whichever path you choose, because I can tell that you've got the right mindset that in direct sales, there's got to be a balance of a system and a hero product, as it's called, that is what most people are going to want. And that's what most people are going to start with. But for people who've used it and loved it and who doesn't get excited about new things, this is such a great question to, ask about what that's going to look like with Restore. And so for us, I think this is kind of like there's a few avenues that I want to address in this question. And the first one is you nailed that the beauty behind the curated glow capsule is it ultimately simplifies a woman's makeup routine into the everyday essentials that she's going to want to use and love and wear every single day, which is sustainable because it creates something she's going to want to reorder, right? Which that creates both value and volume. It's something that you can teach your middle schooler, or high schooler to learn foundationally. And hopefully it's something that they can and will use decades into the future. Like think, going to the Merle Norman, or Clinique counter or Bobbi Brown, wherever you grew up and first learned your makeup. That's such a common occurrence. And I truly believe that our glow capsule can be that, even though the mom's going to be the one that's buying it for us and she's our target customer. And so for us, kind of piggybacking on Amy's question, we knew that our mission is to simplify the lives of active families for the better. And you can see in that it's not like to be a luxe global beauty brand or to revolutionize the makeup industry. While we certainly makeup right now is probably 80% of our sales, with the skincare that we have being about 20%, which I had a feeling it would probably be that way because we knew that people would be super excited about makeup. And that is something that most women wear every day. And because it is such an innovative concept with the all-in-one glow capsule, not a new concept, as we've learned. In fact, even Mary Kay did this brilliantly back in the day. And there's a few people even in the direct consumer world or like just the online retailer world, not in the direct sell space, that kind of have something similar. So there's certainly an opportunity for this. And I love that ours, I think, meets that need. But as far as future expansion, long-term vision wise, what I love about the simplification being our mission is that actually allows us to, again, not have every beauty product under the sun and every color or shade under the sun for our customers, because we're not looking to overwhelm them. We're looking to help them simplify, right? And so that actually opens the door for potential products to be in, additional categories, things like maybe health and wellness, or things like more active, like things, if you've got, like, especially with the renewal stuff, like sunscreens, the Prime Protect is definitely one of our best sellers of individual products outside the glow capsule. And so active items, baby or family related items, there's a lot of room for growth. And that's actually why, even though right now we're making some adjustments to our website, but you'll see that it's organized by the makeup edit, the skincare edit, and the business edit. And so eventually I see future expansion, even potentially in, like the hair care edit. I'm not saying we are or going to do hair care, anytime soon. But what I love about the simplification and serving our active families being the core mission is it allows for a lot of long-term growth opportunities to help expand for generations and decades to come. But you've got to start somewhere, right? And so that's why we decided to start with the makeup edit and the more minimalistic skincare edit that includes that renewal complex in there. And so for us in this very short term, so I kind of gave you the long-term picture, in the very near-term picture, We actually had one of our formulators tell us on a call recently, they were like, we have literally never seen a company launch with this many products or this many SKUs before. And I was like, oh my gosh, I knew that was one piece of advice that I remember learning a year ago as I was researching this, that you want to think, really edited and curated and simple so that you aren't overwhelming your customer base. And so I think that I've been a little over ambitious with adding in things like you probably are aware that the Lip Shine, which was our Give with Purchase at our launch, is coming. We have a mascara, a tubing mascara. We have a couple of other products that we've even shared along the way at some of our road trips that are in development that will be near-term releases. I'm also going to New York to find some new products because it takes a lot of time. That was the other thing that I learned is I thought we could get to market within 6 months. In fact, if you go back and listen to podcasts, I said that. I'm like Q1 of this year, which that was really, really ambitious. It usually takes at least a year, if not 2 years, to go to market with a product when it comes to testing and development and getting it right, assessing consumer demand and all of that good stuff. And so our focus, obviously, over the last year has been developing the products for launch. Now, in terms of new products for the next few months, I would say the next two, I like to think in blocks or seasons or quarters. So for Q4 and Q1 of 2026, while we will have a few new additions, which is very exciting, so stay tuned, we are going to really focus on making sure that our existing products are as good as they can be. For example, the Glow Capsule, you probably know this, Julie, and I love to speak on this very transparently, even if I'm doing a beauty lab experience or an online demo. Our custom built capsule itself, the palette itself, it was actually designed by someone who worked at Bobbi Brown and Estee Lauder for like decades in New York. And so I put a lot of confidence in the design or the engineering of the product and a lot of confidence in the supplier that we found to build it. However, it is really, long story short, the mirror is heavy and it puts a lot of pressure and weight on the hinges, especially when it overextends, which it allows to kind of open up flat, which gravity wants to take over and do that, but it puts pressure on the hinges. And so the top is breaking off and it's basically a lid. There's a couple of other little user-friendly things that we know we want to make adjustments on. And so, for example, that product, or another thing that we are announcing on the family call, especially if people agree with us, is our Prime Protect. The packaging is really pretty. And I actually just saw in my memories today when I found that exact packaging, I was like, this is it. Well, I like to say sometimes I find smart packaging, but it's like smart dumb packaging because it is an airless pump, which is great for a lot of products. It actually works really, really well for our ointment viscosity, but for our Prime Protect, because it's very airy and very moussey and really a unique formulation, what's happening is the air in the product and the air in the airless pump aren't playing nicely, and it's not the best user experience for our customer. And so I know it's not as exciting to be like, oh, we're going to announce or we're going to launch a new sunscreen or a different sized capsule to fit more products. And that's a part of your question as well. What we want to do is get what we feel called to do or the products that we know our customers want and make them as good as they possibly can be in this first full year of startup and of launch. And so we will certainly have a few product drops throughout the year. We want a sustainable rhythm and a flow for the exact reasons that you address, that we want people to get excited. We want customers, partners, and advocates to be able to have something new to look forward to and be able to try new things, because who doesn't love new things? Like, I'm so excited about some of the new products we already have in development. But we want that to be in a sustainable and seasonal flow and rhythm to where it's not going to be, I just listened to a podcast about another company that literally has twice a week product drops. It was funny because the interviewer was like, wow, that sounds exhausting. I feel terrible for your product development team. And I'm like, well, to each their own. So we won't be doing that. We won't be having twice weekly new product drops because that's just not the nature of the simplification vision of this company. And so we will drop new colors. We will drop new products. But the coolest part, in my opinion, about what makes Restore different is we will decide what those are from you, from the field, from the partners, from the advocates, telling us what it is that we're missing, what you feel like we need, and the inspiration that the Lord gives us in those things. And so I really believe that, well, I know that a lot of the products that are already in development and that will be new products within the next year came from ideas from within the field that I can't wait to see come to fruition. And that's what we want. We want to build what you as an active family can feel is going to add value to your routines, and it's going to help you simplify the routines. So we will have more colors. If you have our Pro Capsule, which launched to some special incentive winners last month and will be dropping later this year to the rest of the field, you'll see that there's even some spots on there for some new and exciting shades. So we definitely will have more coming for the Glow Capsule, some possible additional palette sizes, though again, that takes a lot of time. We don't want to make the mistakes that we did in trying to rush it to market. And we want to be able to have full confidence in the quality of our products and take as long as it takes. But we've got some really good suppliers that are really helping us make sure that we get this right on our existing products and some of the refreshes we have and on the new products as well. So stay tuned. This is a fantastic question, and I am so glad that you asked it, Julie. Yay.
Hey, I'm Darby Lindsay, a partner from Norman Park, Georgia, and my question is, where do you get all of your inspiration from for Restore? Everything is just so thoughtfully put together and curated in such detail, and that's what I love about the products and the company is how everything is just so thoughtfully planned out.
Yay, Darby. I love this question so much because I feel like so often inspiration is all around us. I know I actually did a recent podcast on that, whether it's the next person to connect with or the next idea of what to post on social or like my next podcast episode. Inspiration truly is right there, especially if you're a believer, because if you're walking in his plan for your life, God will give you every idea, every inspiration, and you just have to kind of quiet your mind and be open to looking for them. But you also have to have the confidence and not overthink or let fear hold you back from leaning into it. Or for me, it's mostly overthinking or like, is that a good idea? I don't know if that's a good idea. But I have found that along this journey of founding Restore, and I know I've kind of talked in this episode about everything from the inspiration of starting the company itself and the inspiration for future products and how that truly comes from partnering with really great people just like you guys. But ultimately, what I have learned is the things that I felt so clear inspiration. Like one of those is Welcome Home, like the Welcome Home event, and specifically that family dinner. I had such a clear picture and vision for that in my head. And I think, again, it was actually, I was sitting there getting my hair done and I looked around and I saw like these beautiful plants everywhere. And this was after we had already kind of planned the look and feel of it. And I was like, wait, I wonder if this is where I kind of got that initial inspiration and vision for it. I know an additional place, for example, with the real live leafy plants was the last time a year ago when I went to New York, we ate at a restaurant that had like a gorgeous wall of plants. And I was like, that's what I want the back of the stage to look like. And so sometimes it literally is like seeing the visual picture right in front of you and like what like just speaks to your heart and gets you really excited and then holding on to that. Because I'll never forget my dad at that family dinner. He looked at me and he said, Heather, this is amazing. Is this what you pictured it would be? And I kind of looked around and I was like, yes, this is actually exactly what I pictured it to be. And to me, that's not a testament to my ideas or that it was even perfect or that, it was like this grand vision come to life. No, it was confidence that the Lord is the one that's giving these pictures or these ideas, whether it's a color like that we include in the glow capsule or the name of a shade or the next idea, whatever that is. Like I try to hold fast to those inspirations. And sometimes I can almost be too married to them because I feel like I'm like, no, the Lord gave me this vision. But I'm also like, my brain has to land on something until something else kind of comes in to replace it. That's sometimes even better than what I envisioned or imagined, right? Because maybe it's someone else's inspiration or vision that they're abundant enough to share with me that's going to make this whole thing better. And so for me, I really believe, and I don't think this is anything that's special to me as a creator of this company or the products, I really do feel like this is an option that is open to all of us if we just get out of our heads and don't overthink and don't have fear of whether or not that idea or inspiration is for you. Actually, a really, really cool story from this past weekend. I got to be in person at a beauty lab experience And there was this gorgeous inside and out gal. She is literally like, I pray one day that Tracy becomes a partner and advocate because I think this is just made for her. She's just, I can just feel it. That's another inspiration. Like I feel it. I know she's meant to do this. I wouldn't want to push her for it, but certainly I know that the partner that is serving her will and has already shared this with her. And just again, that's another example of inspiration. But she shared an inspiration. She is an actress and a model, but she's also a singer. And she had this clear vision of creating these songs. Like she's literally written these beautiful, really fun, faith-filled songs that are kind of fun at the same time. And she sang a couple of them for us. And I mean, I about died. Lindsay Rafffield, one of our founding partner mentors, was there. And we were like, if you don't post that on Instagram, and you guys, this is coming from Miss Scale Without Social over here. I was like, we are going to be mad at you. Literally, like right now, you need to go and you need to put that out there and make it happen because it's a God-given inspiration that needs to be put out there in the world to be a light. And so that's just an example of, I think sometimes, we can overthink or feel overwhelmed or like, Tracy, she's like, do I need special equipment or anything? It's like, no, just use your phone, go find some natural light and girl, sing, bring that energy out there and hold on to that. Because I think sometimes say she does post it, say she goes viral. What happens then sometimes down the road is then you're like, the joy gets sucked out of it because you're doing it over and over and over again. And so I think if you are a creator, maybe a content creator online, or you are just in your business getting started, look for those inspiration, look for those very clear ideas. If it's something that especially is counter to what you would normally feel comfortable doing, stepping outside your comfort zone is what is going to make the result of it even more special. And so, Darby, I love the answer to your question. To me, inspiration is everywhere. It's in nature. It's music for me. That's another big one. I just love music and live music. Need to Breathe. I'm a huge fan. I know you know this if you're listening to me because I've talked about it on this podcast, but music is such a big inspiration for me. And I get so much joy and creativity from watching other creators work, their craft, if you will. And so inspiration's all around us. And that's one of my favorite aspects of this business is keeping my eyes open for it, doing my best to implement and execute on that vision, even if we don't always get it right. Case in point, the Glow Capsule, which by the way, we have version 3.0 in the works now, and we will make that better. I don't know if I made that clear, but that's a new product that's coming for sure, needed as the Prime Protect new packaging. So anyways, we can and will make it better even when we fall short, or maybe when that inspiration fails us in some way, right? But you don't know unless you put it out there, and we will make mistakes. And so, I just think it's worth taking the risks, especially when a lot of times I know that it was a directive that the Lord gave. And when you can trust in that and rest in that, it just makes everything so special. So remember, if you are a partner or an advocate, or honestly, just a friend or a listener of this podcast, we like to say that we partner with really amazing people to help inspire our products. So the inspiration comes from you too. And a lot of our products have been that way. And then from that, we build a business that creates a profit for you and for us so that we can give back to our communities. And so I invite you on this journey, both in terms of asking the great questions and in collaboration, and never, ever hesitate to share with your founding partner mentor any ideas or questions. Keep these questions coming. Send them in because I want to be able to continue to do this, whether it's not for the next few weeks here and there. I definitely want to be able to answer your questions just like we have on this podcast. So I am going to, I know I said I was going to be shouting out some praises on the podcast. And so I'm going to do that. And then we will wrap up in prayer. So I want to shout out, first of all, a gal named Jennifer Dixon. So Jennifer Dixon just ranked to star partner, but she has been working her business slow and steady from day one. And she is doing the work and doing the things and serving both her customers and her field, her team, her branch. And she's setting the tone and example. And this wasn't the Beauty Lab experience that I was just talking about, but it was another one that I got to go to this past week. And it was really cool to watch the way that she led and showed up and served her entire branch in the way that she did, because they can go and do that exact same thing as well. And so I just want to shout out Jennifer Dixon for just doing the things, girl. You are amazing and you're crushing it over there. And it's really, really fun to watch. and what you're doing, absolutely everyone could do, but it's working in terms of ranking. Star Partner right now is the top 6% of the company. And last I checked, I think you were the number two in sales in the company. And that is to be commendable because it's not by just having some, massive following online, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that for those who worked hard to get towards that, but you're doing it in a way that your girls can and are watching. So I just want to congratulate you, Jennifer, on an amazing month so far and an amazing journey here so far with Restore. So let's wrap us up in prayer. Lord, thank you so much for these amazing questions and for Darby and Julie and Amy for taking the time to ask them on behalf of everyone that's listening and following this Restore journey. I had so much fun answering them, and I can't wait to answer more. And so thank you, Lord, for the inspiration that you've given in the past, even in the hard seasons, even in the seasons where I didn't always see it. You do show up in the right time, in your time. And I'm so thankful for the way you've done that in my life. And I ask you to do that for the same for the people listening on this podcast. And so just give them the inspiration, give them every person, every idea, help us together to create amazing products that can serve our families for the future. And thank you again for the blessing of being able to do this. We are so grateful. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you have a fabulous week.